We are the Keyboard Samurai, a podcast focused on sharing insights to help those working in cybersecurity companies, be them technology or services. Each session, your host, Will Klusovsky, aka Will Clue, sits down with professionals in our industry to illuminate topics that will help your security biz, team, or self be better. Let's hack into it now. Hey everybody, Will here. Thanks for joining. Today we have Derek. Derek, would you get 20-30 seconds of who you are and why we care?
Yeah, so my name is Derek Scheller. I go by the Cyber Warrior in a lot of my platforms. I've been in cybersecurity and IT basically all my life. As far as cybersecurity goes, I'm now a manager. I'm a practice manager. I'm an Army veteran, Air Force veteran. Been around the block doing a ton of different things. And I create, motivational and mental health content for the sole purpose of the importance of it throughout our industry and society as a whole. It's something that I think is severely lacking. So for me, that's a huge concentration of what I do is mental health and motivation. Cybersecurity just happens to be something I enjoy doing to make money. The rest is what I enjoy doing as a person.
Right. Got to pay the bills. I totally understand that. So let's talk about that. Because we're gonna have a chat about mental health today. And I think specifically with like cybersecurity pros and you being someone who manages technical people, like you got hands on keyboards, sim engineers, analysts, all those kind of guys, right? And gals. So like within the context of like, what do you see that's specific from a mental health standpoint with cybersecurity pros?
Well, it comes in two different factors. It really depends on where you work. So in some organizations, they still have a PTO limit. You can only have so many days, you get use or lose, kind of like the military. The problem is if you don't use it, either they'll pay it out and you'll just lose those days off. But to a lot of people, that's still money in their pocket, so they don't care. And some of them always envision leaving a company. They're there for a little while, so they want that PTO so that when they leave, they can have an extra paycheck. Those people, though, they still tend to take time off because they feel forced to, because, I only have 14 days a year or whatever. So they use it to take their vacations and go. Organizations that I work for have unlimited PTO. Well, you see a lot less people use PTO when it's unlimited, especially in this industry, because every organization, everywhere you work, it's the house is on fire, I'm on fire, and I don't know what to do. Everything seems like an emergency, so you never feel like you can take PTO. And in my eyes, it's a bad way to look at things. So, we see a lot of burnout in this industry because until you medically cannot get out of bed, a lot of people will never take time for themselves. We are an industry that relies on working from sun up till sundown, every weekend, every day, something can happen. And so when you don't take that time for yourself, you end up doing no good to anybody. Because one of two things happens. Either you burn out and you don't want to do the job anymore, so you quit or go somewhere else, and then you lose a valuable employee. Or you end up in a hospital. I've had people end up in hospital beds because they burnt themselves out. It's a lot of stress and a lot of you end up never feeling like you're doing enough. And so for me, I've played that game. When I was in the Army and in the military in general, you're always on call, you're always available. And when you hit the NCO ranks, even, for those that were officers and commanders, you can get a call at any hour of the day. I remember barbecuing, being like 2 beers deep on a Friday night and getting a call because not even one of my soldiers, one of our other NCOs, one of his soldiers ended up getting arrested. And I'm like, I've had 2 beers. Do you want me to drive and come get him, or how you want to play this? Because I ain't trying to get pulled over. And so, eventually goes up the chain. But I remember being on leave, making phone calls, making sure work got done. And so I spent probably 13 years before they medically retired me. And then another 3-ish after I got out, 2 to 3, where I didn't know what boundaries were. On my phone, I had every app to talk to work.
Right.
never killed notifications, never did anything, was always available. And so people didn't even have to text me. If an email came in,
Yeah.
answered it
We're
easy.
working on PTO all the time.
Yeah. So it finally got to the point where I said, enough's enough. In 2020, when everybody started going remote, I had already been remote for years. I looked at it and I went on vacation near the end of that year. And I finally, for the first time ever in my career, killed every single notification. The only way you could get a hold of me was if you were family and you were texting me. That was it. I didn't answer phone calls. I didn't look at, I looked at not even social media. I went on a complete hiatus from technology for that week. And it was the best I had felt in a long time.
You've got to
And
disconnect.
oh, you have to. And I think here in cybersecurity, especially as an engineer, you're told constantly, keep learning, read the articles, do all this. You never step away. You never step away. So I encourage my people now. Some of them I have to smack on the hand every once in a while because they don't listen. But I encourage them, one, to take PTO at least 1 week a quarter, or at least take, a day or two a month, whatever
Right.
it is. If you can't be out a whole week, fine. Pick a Friday or a long weekend, take a long weekend and go away. Two, at 5 o'clock, unless it's an utter emergency and they text me first, you are not to sit down at a work computer. You're not to do it, because
Right.
come 5 o'clock, we don't get paid overtime. We're not paid
Right.
hourly. So come 5 o'clock, you're not getting paid any more or any less if you work past 5. And this whole mindset of like company loyalty and, the ones that get the furthest are the ones that work the hardest. The ones that get the furthest for me are the ones that work the hardest during the workday.
Right.
If you're working after the workday, you're burning yourself out. You're taking time away from family, away from your education, away from your mental health. You're more of a detriment by working after hours, especially till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
You're also hiding the problem from the company, because if you can't get your work done in 40 hours, then you have more work to do than you should, and they need to have somebody else
Yeah.
brought in, or they need to at least acknowledge and recognize that you're doing that. That's it's one of those social media posts, whether it's true or not, but where they keep giving this guy bonuses and he's happy, or he's not happy. He's giving him bonuses and telling him he's great and they love him. He's the greatest employee ever, but nobody ever helps him. And then he finally goes to leave and they're like, well, why are you leaving, man? You did everything. He's like, because you kept saying you were going to hire people and you didn't. They're like, well, you were doing such a great job. We didn't know anything was wrong. And he's like, well, you should have, because I'm working too much. Right.
Yeah. And that's the other big thing that people don't realize. If you are doing that, and me and
Probably not
people
visible.
like, yeah, and me and people like this, like if it wasn't for the fact that I know them and talk to them one-on-one, like off hours,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that they were working till 10 o'clock at night. But like I'll make phone calls, or like I'll sit down if I'm in my office doing something for my content or my brand. I might log on to a work computer to see what's going on, and
Mhm.
I'll see people legitimately working, and I'm like, dude, what are you
Yeah. The
doing?
Teams light's been green for hours.
Yeah, never gone off. And so come to find out, some of these people, they're like, well, we got a lot to do. We got to get it. When's the deadline? There isn't one. Okay. Then when you have time, it'll get done. If you needed it done sooner, time management's key. You,
Yeah.
you need to learn to manage your time better, or you need to learn to delegate. Us as managers, especially ones that come from that engineering mindset, and I've played this game before all too much. I can get it done in 30 seconds. I know it'll take this guy, 5 hours to get it
Mhm.
done. I'm just going to do it myself. And then you never delegate, which means they
Doesn't
never
help
learn.
either of you.
Yeah. So you just end up taking more work on that you shouldn't be doing. And then you're like deprioritizing other tasks that are your responsibility.
Yep.
And so it's a hard life, but if you learn to have that balance and if you learn to really step away, then your mental health gets a lot better. One of the biggest things for me is go outside and touch grass.
Mhm.
And
100%.
people look at that as like, oh, they're just saying it. No, no, no. I mean legitimately.
Yeah.
Either go out and bare feet, or literally go sit down by a fire, something, go outside and touch grass. Because to ground yourself and really get back to who we are as humans and as people is so refreshing, to like put your phone away, put everything away, and just relax outside for like 15 minutes a day.
They actually did a study, I want to say, some Nordic country where they had a bunch of city kids. I guess they built like a grassed area for 15 minutes a day at school, like to go out. Like that was like a requirement, was to go outside and be in nature for a while. And yeah, like the positive aspects of it were just, it's pretty crazy. It's like, it's insane what just getting fresh air will freaking do to you.
And it's that, and you know what people don't understand. I grew up in the city. A lot of others did. I despise the city. But there's so many people that love it. They love the hustle and bustle, the noises, the sounds, everything going on. I learned a while ago that that's not my life. That's not what I want for my kids. It's not what I want for me. When I go outside, I want just silence, or the animals or whatever. Like I hear birds all day, woodpeckers, and you know, I'll see the deer going through the woods and things like that. And to me, that's peace. That's peaceful. And don't get me wrong, I live by the city. Where I live, you know, cars go up and down. But at night, I can go outside, relax, and be at peace, and actually solidify my thoughts.
I think the point is, like you said, you don't have to go to the woods. Or some people like the woods, the beach. Some people like the city. Like everybody has their place where they can kind of sit and take it all in. You know, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody, right?
No, it doesn't. It's where you feel most, where you're able to center yourself most, really, is what it comes down to. Where mentally you could sit there. And another one of the big topics about mental health is like setting goals for yourself. If you have no goals, if you have no purpose to doing things, if you have no plan, then you're constantly going to be spiraling, and you're going to feel like you're never getting anywhere. You know, a lot of people talk about dreams. Dreams are unwritten goals, and if you don't write it down, it's never going to happen.
Right.
I mean, it's prudent to write it down and to really write your goals down and plan it out. But you can only do that once you know what they are. And you only know what they are once you have the presence of mind and have done a good hard look at what you want out of life and out of yourself. And you can only do that when you're centered, when you're able to sit there and really take a good look at yourself.
Not to take something so profound and and bastardize it, but I think it's super important for businesses to do that. Because
for sure.
As an engineer going to work every day, they need to know that what they're doing is helping their manager achieve their goals, which is helping their director achieve their goals, which is all tied to this company goal. That way you can prioritize things and not get burnt out doing shit you're not supposed to, right?
Well, and I think that's a big problem we have right now, in a lot of startups and a lot of smaller companies and even larger companies. The bigger you are, the harder it is to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way I've always operated was off of metal, right? Your mission essential task list. And you don't have that if you don't have a mission. And your mission is supposed to come top down. And so if I don't know what the company mission is from an executive level, and then they don't, if they have one, they haven't told, you know, my higher up or something like that. And if they have one, so like a lot of it comes down to, well, build out your, you know, X, Y, and Z, whatever your services are, whatever you're doing. Well, what's your mission? What do I need to be able to provide to accomplish the ultimate goal of the organization?
Where's my brick in this wall?
Yeah. And so I think a lot of engineers, and I was talking to someone today, I said, you know, it's a different feeling when you have to do that, because when you have to actually build it yourself. Because I've always entered organizations that were larger, that was done. When you got hired, you knew what you were doing. Like if you were,
you had a
if
job,
you were
build your job.
Yeah. Like if you were a SIM security engineer, like, okay, you were a SIM engineer, you walked in, all you had to do was have someone teach you what platform you're on, how to get there, and what was required for your day-to-day work so that you could accomplish the mission. Cool. Easy enough. But when like things are constantly changing and shifting, and it's like, where do I fit into this piece? Like, oh, well, you need to build that. All right. Start from the ground up then. So it's a new challenge, but that goes back to another thing that, you know, I think me and you have talked about before, and you've seen me talk about, like, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
For sure.
That's the only way we grow in this industry, And too many people, their mental health takes a hit the moment they get uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
They get anxious and stressed out, and they don't know how to handle it. And they like their comfort zone. But
Embrace the
inside
suck.
your comfort zone, you'll never grow.
Yeah. Gotta
And
embrace the suck.
I mean, hey, it's a common military phrase, but it's true. Like, if you don't, if you were always comfortable, you're doing something wrong.
Right. Or you're
And yeah. And so, like, for me, being uncomfortable and doing something new, it's weird for me. Like, to me, the biggest worry I ever had in my career was like if I was changing jobs, or like, let me make sure I'm doing enough to not get fired.
Yeah.
You know, but now I need to make sure that, because I'm not just responsible for me now, I'm responsible for everybody under me.
Right.
And unlike in the military where your responsibilities begin and end with you, like your soldiers are just stay out of trouble and don't do nothing stupid on the weekends. Otherwise, I got your top covered. Now it's, hey, without me like making sure things are aligned properly, bonuses get
You're not getting your
impacted.
bonus. Yep. You're not going to get promoted.
Right. Like everything gets impacted now.
Well, it's,
So
I would say too on that, it's like, that the whole idea of growth mindset is what I think is useful there, which is people get uncomfortable because they're afraid they're going to fail or screw up or do something wrong. And you need to be at a business, you're a manager, a leader, whoever needs to make that not the case. Like they need to be like, no, you can go ahead and screw up. That's how you're going to learn. Go ahead and try some new things, and then come tell us as a team what you did and why it didn't work, or how, fail fast. You always hear all that stuff, right? But it's weird for me. I've been doing this for a very long time, and that's not something I really like. I kind of knew that always in my head, like failing was learning, but the actual like concepts of a growth mindset, where as a leader, you tell stories about how you screwed up, and then you encourage your team to screw up and learn from it, and just to make that okay, because then it does take away, hopefully, some of that pressure of, oh man, I'm uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest, and it happened as an engineer, one of the biggest failures I had was working for an MSSP, being a sim engineer. And so we managed, I don't even know how many clients, sims. It was a multi-tenant system. And I go in, and in order to get to like the different assets, you had to like remote into one and then remote into another. So I didn't realize I was at our primary. I thought I was like 3 layers deep at this client's one that needed rebooted. No. I was at the primary, and I told that thing to restart. And then I was like,
wait a minute,
kind of message the team, hey guys, systems will be back up in about a half hour, 45. Go take some, go take a break.
There's no work to be done for the next half an hour.
Like, go take a break. All my analysts are like, you did it too? Yep, it was me. Like, we've all done it. We've all done it. It's like part of like the initiation.
Right.
You weren't truly part of the team until you made that mistake.
Until you reboot the entire service.
But I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned, like, as long as you own it. And I think that's the other thing. And you talk about it, right? That growth mindset. Too many people, they're afraid to fail, or if they do fail, they won't own it. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. It's always got to be, oh, well, I wasn't taught, or I didn't know, or they didn't tell me I couldn't do it. No, you screwed up. Like, don't come up with excuses. Maybe you didn't do the due diligence to go look at the documentation that we told you was there when you started, 8 months ago. That's on you. Right. And there's a lot of, onus that I take out on my own. Like when people ask, hey, do we know? And I'll tell them outright, like, honestly, no, I don't. I mean, there's probably documentation somewhere, but nothing that I've seen.
My big answer to that is also ask questions, man. Like too many people will, just sit in a room and hear acronyms they don't understand and hear things going on. Be the stupid person. Like I'll be the stupid person all day. I'll raise my hand and be like, what does that mean? Where do I find that? How does that work? Why? And I guarantee you start doing that, then you'll notice other people in the room who were pretending to know what the hell is going on.
I recall working for you in meetings that should have been an email. You turned into legitimate meetings.
That's
Like, I got things to get done, and there you are. Hey, so can you please explain this to me again?
yeah.
Son
Like,
of a-
why are we doing this?
Dude, like this could have been over a half hour ago. What are you
To
doing?
that point, though, you didn't need to be there then.
Oh, I did it, dude. Well, you figure like
Yeah.
there's many times I think in our career where you get involved in meetings, and some of it is you just want to be a fly on the wall,
Right.
which is fine if that's the case. But when you get invited to a meeting, told that you need to be there, that this is important to you, and you're listening, and it has nothing to do with you, I'm just sitting here going, dude, like, I turn off my camera and everything because if my camera's on, someone's going to see the faces I'm making and the things I'm saying.
My reactions to the stupid stuff that's being.
Man, but I do. I absolutely, I love what I do because now I'm at a point where I can actually help others. And
Yeah.
that's always been a big thing for me. I always felt that when we talk about, mental health, growth mindset, a lot of the things that I talk about on a regular basis, motivation, things of that nature, goals and success. One of my biggest drivers to like even joining the military was I wanted to help others. I wanted to feel like I could make an impact. I wasn't able to do it at my job. I never felt that way. There wasn't a job I had in the military where I felt like I was actually doing something productive. Some of it was because the military just didn't let me. They said, "Oh, there's civilians to do your job for you."
A lot
Even
of the
though
military is about keeping you busy too. We all know that.
yeah,
Out of trouble. If you're
hey,
busy,
go
you're out of
do this
trouble.
training for the 10th time this week. Like, come on, people.
PM the Hummer again.
Yeah, right. Let's go PMCS these freaking Humvees for Motorpool Monday that you haven't driven in 6 months, but every Monday you're there, and then you find some new issue every Monday. Every Monday something new is wrong. I swear the mechanics would just go in and like mess with stuff just so they could claim whether or not they had a job. But so when I look at these things, it just I feel like it makes me better by listening and learning to everybody. It makes me better by realizing that my whole goal was to help people, and I am finally in a position where I can impact other people's careers in a good and or bad way.
Yeah.
And I have to take that onus on myself. Whether it's through mentorship, training, whatever the case may be, I finally feel like I have purpose in my career.
Right.
Whether or not I enjoy the job all the time, it's a job, it's a paycheck, it is what it is. It keeps a roof over my head and food on the table for me and my kids and my wife. But I finally feel like I have a purpose. And I haven't felt like I had a purpose in years. That's one of the reasons I started creating content, was to feel value and a purpose. And to finally feel that way at a job, to finally be able to help people. The clients is, again, part of the job. It's
right.
The employees that matter to me. And I will always do what I can to take care of them.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's a trait that most people should look for in their leaders as you're promoting people up. So, Derek, this is awesome. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
cyberwarriorstudios.com is the easiest way. But also, I am legitimately on every social media platform that's mainstream, and even some of the non-mainstream ones. Just look up Cyber Warrior Studios and you'll find me. TikTok is the only one where you'll find a different name, and it's Digital Heathen. But yeah, Cyber Warrior Studios, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm all over.
Stuff, man, everywhere. Awesome, dude. Well, thanks. This is great. I'm sure we'll do another one of these at some point.
Oh, for sure. Take care.
You too, man.
Thanks for enjoying Keyboard Samurai Podcast. If you'd like to engage, find Will on LinkedIn at /WillClue or visit at willclue.me. That's WILKLU.me for more info. Disconnecting now. Synac you later.